Hello and welcome to Spectrum News at 9. My name is Xavier Robert, coming to you live from the capital city of Akwa Ibom. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Tinubu orders NDLEA to fish out killers of 2-year-old boy in Delta. NLC rejects new fuel price. Russia bombs Ukrainian grain port after ending export deal. Details of these stories and more in a moment. We begin tonight with the #1 citizen of Nigeria, President Bola Tinubu, who has expressed sadness over the death of a 2-year-old Ivan Ohomrina killed by a stray bullet during an operation by officers of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency (NDLEA) at Alpanam in Oshimili North local government area of Delta State. A statement issued by the presidential spokesman Dele Alake, Tinubu mourned the death of little Ivan Ohomrina and sympathized with his parents for the painful experience of losing an innocent child in a most gruesome manner. Meanwhile, the president has directed the NDLEA management to speedily and thoroughly investigate the incident with a view to punishing those found culpable. The president charged security agents to be more professional and careful when conducting their operations to avoid risking lives of innocent Nigerians. Meanwhile, the presidents of Benin, Niger and Guinea-Bissau arrived at the Aso Rock Villa today to visit their Nigerian counterpart, Bola Tinubu. President Patrice Talon of Benin, Mohamed Bazoum of Niger and Omaro Embalo of Guinea-Bissau were received by Tinubu at the forecourt of the presidential Villa Abuja. Soon afterward, he led the West African leaders into a private session at his office. While the specific agenda of today's meeting is not yet public, it comes barely 9 days after President Tinubu assumed the chairmanship of the Authority of Heads of State of the Economic Community of West African States. The leaders are expected to discuss security and economic development in the sub-region. Tinubu is likely to reiterate his stance on defending democracy in the sub-region, given the spate of coups in recent years. Guinea-Bissau had survived an attempted coup in February 2022. However, the civilian governments of Guinea, Mali, and Burkina Faso had been toppled between 2019 and 2022. In the meantime, former President Goodluck Jonathan has met with President Bola Tinubu at the presidential Villa Abuja today. Well, it isn't clear what the purpose of the meeting was. This comes about 5 weeks after the former president visited Tinubu at the Villa on June 13 for the first time since the incumbent took office in May. Jonathan, who doubles as head of the ECOWAS mediation team to Mali, noted that the visit was to discuss issues pertaining to Africa and the West African sub-region. He told journalists on his exit from the State House in Abuja that he came to brief the president about some continental and subcontinental bodies.
That has been a part of ECOWAS from 2020 as the ECOWAS mediator in Mali. And now that we are lucky, our president has been appointed as the chairperson of the authorities of heads of state and government of ECOWAS. In fact, I will be coming here almost every week, so Nigerians should not be surprised, because we have a lot of challenges in the sub-region, and those are the things we are discussing. We have the crisis in Mali, crisis in Guinea, crisis in Burkina Faso. I am really handling Mali, but still oversighting others. So we came to put our heads together. I'm also the chair of the ECOWAS Council of the Wise, and so we hold meetings. Then we see the chair of the authority to have conversations on how to move things forward. So we just came back from the AU program in Nairobi. And I'm traveling tomorrow, so decided to come and brief him so we know how to move ahead with it.
Meanwhile, the Vice President Kashim Shettima has met a delegation of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, NESG, at the presidential Villa Abuja. Reports say the courtesy visit is aimed to, among other things, notify the Vice President of the 29th Nigerian Economic Summit, which holds on October 23 through 24 this year, and to invite him to give the closing address of the summit. Recall that the NESG was incorporated in 1996 by a group of private sector leaders after co-hosting 3 successive Nigerian economic summits with the federal government. And while discussion will also feature possible areas of collaboration between the NESG, the Office of the Vice President, and National Economic Council on strategic presidential priorities and initiatives. In a separate development, the federal government has said that plans are underway to undertake a nationwide vaccination of cattle, sheep, and goats following a confirmed case of anthrax in Niger State. The Niger case comes weeks after the federal government alerted Nigerians to the outbreak of the deadly disease in some neighboring countries within the West African sub-region. The federal government therefore urged Nigerians to desist from the consumption of cow hides, otherwise known as momo, smoked meat, and bush meat. Recall that the government in June specifically stated that the disease was widespread in northern Ghana, bordering Burkina Faso and Togo. In another development, Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) has rejected the new regime of pump price of fuel announced, describing it as provocative and designed to worsen the poverty level and hardship Nigeria is passing through already. NLC, in a statement by its president, Joe Ajaero, said they woke up to the news that NNPCL has increased the pump price of premium motor spirit (PMS) from 500 naira per litre to 617 naira per litre. It said an 18% increase in the price of fuel at this time of great difficulties for Nigerians was sadistic and totally unacceptable. In a later development, the Group Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Mele Kyari, has attributed the rise in petrol pump prices in Nigeria to market forces. This follows a recent price increase from 540 naira to 670 naira per litre, which he said reflects the dynamics of a market-regulated pricing model. Addressing journalists after a closed-door meeting with Vice President Kashim Shettima at the State House, Abuja, Kyari said they are just prices depending on the market realities. However, he debunked notions that the price increase is due to a shortfall in petrol supply. His comments came after several NNPCL-operated stations increased the petrol pump price from 537 naira per litre to 617 naira per litre in Abuja. On his part, the CEO of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, Farouk Ahmed, attributed the price hike to global crude oil prices increase. He also mentioned that changes in freight costs and other miscellaneous expenses that importers encounter during distribution contribute to the price changes. From the Green Chambers now, the House of Representatives today asked the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Betokun, to take over the case involving the alleged killing of 2-year-old Ivan Omoriakobe by operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency (NDLEA) in Delta State. Last Thursday, stray bullets allegedly from NDLEA personnel killed the 2-year-old child and wounded his sibling. The victims had just returned from school to their mother's shop when they were hit by stray bullets. A week after the incident, the House has regretted the killing of the child and is seeking for justice for the child. The lawmakers also want the police to prosecute the culprits involved. In a motion by Unyime Idem, the lawmaker representing Okanafon Orowanam Federal Constituency expressed concern that a 2-year-old child who returned from school tragically lost his life due to a bullet fired by NDLEA operatives in Asaba. Reports say the bullet also hit his younger brother, Eremoshele Omorina, in one of his eyes and he had to undergo surgery. Meanwhile, a petition from the father of the boy pleading for justice was also presented to the House by Honorable Kelechi Nwogu. In the meantime, the House of Representatives has urged the Ministry of Aviation to collaborate with relevant healthcare professionals and organizations to establish and operate high blood pressure and sugar levels check desks at airports across the country. The House also urged the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria (FAN) to put adequate medical facilities in Nigerian airports to forestall sudden deaths from high blood pressure and diabetes, among others. It further urged the desks to be staffed with trained healthcare personnel who can accurately measure blood pressure and sugar levels, provide basic counseling, and refer individuals to appropriate medical services if necessary. The House mandated the Committee on Aviation when constituted to ensure compliance. In the meantime, the House of Representatives has urged the Ecological Fund Office and related agencies to carry out an impact assessment of communities affected by gully erosion in Anambra State. It called on the office to fund a remediation plan that will stem the tide of gully erosion in the areas affected. The House also urged the National Emergency Management Agency (NEMA) to provide relief materials to the affected communities. It mandated the Committees on Environment, Works and Water Resources, when constituted, to make funds available in the 2024 budget estimates for the construction of drainage system and erosion control measures to tackle the menace of gully erosions in the affected communities. Elsewhere, the House of